Hello and welcome to Big Picture. I'm Vishal, Dahiya, and today we're going to talk about the VAIBHAV Summit, a global virtual summit of Indian and overseas researchers and academicians, which is being held from 2nd of October to 31st of October. Now, there'll be a lot of topics and themes on which these researchers and academicians will debate and discuss and chart out a course, the future course of action. We'll try and understand all these aspects of VAIBHAV Summit in the next half an hour, and we're joined by a distinguished panel of guests. Let me first introduce them to you, beginning with Dr. V.K. Saraswat, member of Niti Aayog as well as Chief Patron of this VAIBHAV Summit. We also have with us Professor V. Ramgopal Rao, Director of the Indian Institute of Technology in Delhi, and Dr. Aravind Vijayaraghavan, Head of the Business Engagement in the Faculty of Science and Engineering in the University of Manchester. Welcome all of you to Rajya Sabha Television. And let me begin with you, Dr. Saraswat. Let's first start by understanding the objectives or the reasons why this summit is being held.
The objectives of holding this summit are basically to leverage the experience and expertise of the Indian scientists overseas to participate with India's journey of technology development, and which ultimately will lead to achieving what we call as the technological excellence and leading to the economic growth. In fact, the whole idea was mooted by our Honorable Prime Minister during one of the interactions with our scientists. And he was of the opinion that while there have been multiple interactions at different levels between the Indian scientists overseas and the Indian domestic scientists, but we need a structured platform where we could extend this kind of a synergy in developing the science for tomorrow in a more structured forum. So that's why this summit, Vaishvik Bharatiya Vigyan, or what we call as the VAIBHAV Summit, has been planned, in which the whole idea is to bring on a virtual platform the large number of Indian scientists who are in different parts of the world onto this platform and interact with our scientists on different subjects and come out with a roadmap as to how research can be done to come up with better ideas, better inventions, better discoveries, and ultimately India to become a knowledge power. That is what we would like to have through this interaction.
Okay, but since this is going to be a month-long affair, Dr. Saraswat, and there are going to be a large number of academicians and researchers who will participate, quite a number of interactions, virtual interactions are being planned. What are the key focus areas? What are we looking at? These debates, discussions, where all are these going to be focused? Only on science and technology, only on academic part of it, or research and innovation as well being the focus?
In fact, what we have done is we have identified 18 verticals, and these verticals belong to different parts of our, the growth in which we want to have. For example, agriculture, health, energy, and transportation, and a variety of things. About 80 such verticals are there. And in each vertical, there are technological domains in which the scientists can interact with each other and identify problems and the gaps where we can work together, fill those gaps through a continued interaction over a long period of time and come up with some kind of innovation ultimately, because ultimately we would like to get the whole knowledge converted into innovation so that it can lead to the economic growth. And that is the journey which we want to do together with the scientists abroad.
Okay. Let me bring in Professor Ramgopal Rao here. Professor Rao, from your point of view, interactions like these, how fruitful these affairs will be, and how much needed was an effort like this?
No, this is a very important effort. In fact, as Prime Minister once said, science is global, technology is local. I think we need to make use of the best science available anywhere in the world through these collaborations and see if we can solve the problems that exist in the country. I think this is a very welcome step. There are multiple initiatives that have been launched by Government of India to welcome international scientists to work with Indian researchers. For example, there is a program from MHRD called GIAN, GIAN. There is a program from DST called Vajra, and there is another program from MHRD called Spark. So in the last few years alone, at least 3 structured programs have come up where the international scholars can come and work with Indian scientists. But I think VAIBHAV is going beyond that. VAIBHAV is going beyond what we are currently doing, because many of these programs are structured but haven't scaled up much. There are not many people still interacting with the Indian scientists. And I think even it's also very asymmetric in the way, there are schemes for international scholars to come and work in India, but there are no schemes for Indian scholars to go and spend time in some of the finest institutions in the world. I think, that asymmetry needs to be corrected. We need to be able to, enter into more joint programs with universities abroad. Our PhD students, our faculty should be able to go abroad, spend time in various laboratories, gain that international exposure. I think that asymmetry also is what VAIBHAV hopefully will correct. And I think this is a part of deliberation, 1 month long deliberations. Almost 200 Indian institutions are involved, and multiple institutions from various countries are also involved. Through these collaborations, the idea is to come up with structured programs and see how we can take these initiatives to the next level.
Okay. Let's hear the perspective from one of the overseas participant in these discussions as well, Dr. Aravind Vijayaraghavan from the University of Manchester. Dr. Aravind, in your views, such interactions would be very much needed, and as both Dr. Saraswat and Dr. Rao, Professor Rao is pointing out that the idea here is to move ahead in a united fashion, to learn from each other as well, close those gaps.
Yes, of course. The universities like Manchester, we consider ourselves to be global universities. So we are very keen to engage with all countries all over the world, and there are a lot of opportunities for not only Manchester but other major universities in the world to engage with India, with Indian universities, with Indian industry. We have a lot of innovation in Manchester, for example, which the Indian universities and the Indian industries can benefit from. We have actually taken a lot of effort on our own as well to reach out, to engage with Indian partners. I myself, for example, before the COVID crisis, I had made a couple of trips to India to meet with universities, companies. I'd even visited IIT Delhi. So there is a lot of enthusiasm. There's a lot of desire from international universities like Manchester to engage very actively with Indian universities and Indian industries and Indian research organizations. But there has to be a structured mechanism for this to happen. There has to be a funding mechanism to support this, to support collaborative R&D, to support, like Professor Rao said, two-way movement of people, both from the international university to India, and also Indian scientists have the opportunity to visit us. So if there is going to be an outcome from this summit that will allow for this kind of structured, funded interactions to happen, I think India and also the international universities will greatly benefit from that.
Okay, and these being pandemic times, these kind of interactions perhaps might also result in some more innovative ideas to tackle the challenges, Dr. Aravind, which we face right now as as a global community.
Yes, I think it's there are lots of challenges right now that are specific to the pandemic. For example, we have to develop new technologies, we have to develop new diagnostics, we have to develop new vaccines, we have to develop new therapeutics, and also even the way we work, the way we commute, the way we interact with people. There is a huge pressure for us to develop new technologies, which can happen. The development can happen in India, or it can happen in the UK, or it can happen jointly, but the whole world will benefit from that. So, having this kind of an opportunity for the best minds, let's say, from all over the world to come together is a really, really good opportunity.
Okay, okay. Dr. Saraswat, as both other panelists are pointing out that there needs to be a structured mechanism when we talk about collaboration between the Indian universities or academicians who are working here and those who are working outside in other countries in reputed institutions as well. And that structured mechanism, when we talk about, is VAIBHAV that platform which can go ahead and act as a bridge, because this is the first of its kind of effort, and will it be a sort of a annual or a biannual sort of phenomena? Is that a sort of a plan which is being worked out?
Yeah, I think the idea of VAIBHAV is not a one time. It is a continued operation of the scientists from abroad and the scientists from India working together on common problems to solve the problems for the countries, for the globe, and of course for India in particular. And in this, it will be a continued program. It will not be just that we are going to interact only on a few days, 1 month, and then that's the end of it. In fact, the whole idea is to lay proper policy framework with proper funding over a long-term basis, which will enable the scientists to work on problems and then find solutions. And those solutions have to be also made use of by the industry to actually take it to a final product. And that's why I call it innovation. So ultimately reach the innovation so that it leads to economic growth. And in these times of pandemic, certainly we need to really work out immediate solutions which will help the humanity, whether they are drugs or the vaccines and things like that. Another point which is going to happen here is to work on technologies which are disruptive in nature, which are going to be finding place in, say, 2030 or 2025, because if we work on those technologies today, we will be able to make them available for the humanity for tomorrow. And like disruptive technologies, quantum computing and things like that will certainly be part of our discussions in the next 1 month, over which the two teams will find out where all they can work together. And this will be structured. So it is just that VAIBHAV is a platform which will provide this kind of a continued interaction over a long term on a firm basis.
Okay, okay. Professor Rao, your institute, in fact, researchers from your institute, that is IIT Delhi, have been, quite forthcoming, and their contribution has been noteworthy as far as innovations are concerned, be it during these pandemic times or before that as well. All of us have seen different kind of, products which have been put forward by the IIT Delhi researchers. So in that aspect, as Dr. Saraswat is pointing out, innovation seemingly is the key area. But apart from that, those 18 verticals which Dr. Saraswat mentioned, where exactly do you believe the focus should be? Obviously, all of them will be discussed, but there has to be some key focus areas, or we can say the most urgent matters or the low-hanging fruits.
Yeah, in fact, as Dr. Saraswat mentioned, there are 18 verticals which are identified. And this is also a top-down initiative, meaning it's coming from all the way from the Prime Minister's office. But it's also a bottom-up initiative in the sense 200 institutions are now connected from India with multiple universities abroad. Idea is to discuss, debate, identify real problems, identify where the collaborations are possible, and then through structured funding schemes, can we work together? Can the faculty and students from both the sides travel to each other's places? And then, can we start to address these problems? Because, if you look at India, India has all the problems of the world. I don't think there is any problem which is not present in India. So that the solutions can come from anywhere, and it benefits the society. I think this is a great initiative. I think this is something which we have been looking forward to. Like I said, though there have been some such initiatives in the past, but they have remained very few and not really made the kind of an impact that one would have liked to see. And also, India offers the scale for any technology that is available anywhere. Now, if you have a solution to a problem, there are a billion people who might actually benefit from that. So that scale that India offers to any technology is a great attraction for us. And, many of these problems are in a way, some of them are unsolved. Solving our agriculture problem, so doubling the farmers' income kind of a thing is not going to happen overnight. There are lots of technologies, lots of inputs are required from all over the world, but the implementation has to be on the ground. So that is where Indian institutions can also play a major role. And I think, this is all coming together. I'm very happy to see that, something like this is happening now and people are beginning to talk to each other and then finally identify problems, identify collaborations, identify solutions, and finally deploy them on the field. That is what innovation is all about. So I think,
Okay. Dr. Aravind, I'd like to bring you in here on this aspect as Professor Rao is pointing out. Would you agree that as far as India is concerned, and this is a good opportunity for specifically for researchers or innovators sitting in different countries, other countries or reputed institutions like yourself, that India provides that opportunity of scale? That's one. And two, being there, what are your expectations in terms of this collaborative effort which we are talking about between the researchers and academicians and scientists who are sitting here and those who are there in foreign institutes or international global colleges or universities out there?
Yeah, so with regard to your first question, obviously, if we, for example, develop a new technology or a new discovery in Manchester University, I mean, we don't just develop it for the 60 million people who live in the UK. That is, a very small fraction of the global population. If we develop a technology or innovation, but that can benefit 1.2 billion people in India, then obviously the impact, the reach of that technology will be many, many orders of magnitude bigger. So, we are developing new science, new technology for the benefit of the whole world. And India has 1/6 of the population, so I think it will be a huge benefit. But it's not just what we develop. We can also support the Indian universities and the Indian industries to develop technologies. And also, if something is developed in India, we can serve as an outlet for the whole world. So this is all about, I think what the quote which Professor Rao said before from the Prime Minister, that what was that? Science is global, but innovation. What was that? Something you said along those lines.
Science is global,
technology is local.
Yes,
science is global.
Yes, that exactly. So that is, I think, a good paradigm to follow. And as far as my expectations are, I think what I would like to ideally see come out of this, which I think every academic involved will agree, is new collaborations, new partnerships, which are properly funded. It's all fine to have very nice ideas, but if the resources for realizing those ideas is not available, then it's just ideas. It doesn't get anywhere. So I'm sure we will come up with a lot of very interesting ideas in the panels that we are having, and also the mechanisms, the collaborations. And then, hopefully some of those can be actually realized in a tangible way with long-term focus. Again, it shouldn't be short-term thinking. It should be all about long-term thinking, being able to develop a technology right from the conception in the lab all the way to delivering an impact in the real world. So it has to go the whole distance.
Okay. Dr. Saraswat, your views on that coming in from Dr. Aravind in terms of, ensuring resources for, making sure that those ideas which are discussed or finally arrived at are given, tangible shape out there, or they become a reality?
Yeah, I think this program envisages that it will have a very strong policy framework. It will have a strategy for implementation of each and every project which is identified by these collaborative efforts over the next 1 month, which are going to take place. It will also ensure that there is a strategy for solving those problems by way of providing the resources at both the ends, that is in India as well as in the foreign universities, and with the foreign human resource of Indian diaspora which is available, and which will also ensure that the mechanisms are properly supported at both the ends. This is the kind of a framework in which VAIBHAV program is going to work, and that's why the kind of initiative which our Honorable Prime Minister has given is basically to structure it in such a manner that we have a sustained synergy among the Indian diaspora and the Indian scientists in India. So that is what is going to help us not in a sporadic manner, but in a sustained manner, we will have that kind of an output, which will benefit the country as a whole.
Okay.
That is the whole idea. And I assure you that there will be a very strong policy framework which will support it.
Okay, and before I go into Professor Rao for concluding comments, one more small question here to you, Dr. Saraswat, specifically for those who would be watching these discussions or virtual online debates happening between researchers and academicians. What kind of message goes across, or what should they be thinking about in terms of their input, or the way they can see the entire process moving ahead when their turn comes in?
See, the advantage of this particular interaction being virtual, and during these discourses which will take place between the Indian scientists and the foreign scientists, it will enable our student community, our academic community, it will and the industry community to take a look at what are the kind of problems which we are trying to solve, and also how they will be in a position to contribute, because the doors will be kept open even for those who want to participate in this discussion. They can participate. Of course, there is a mechanism to invite them and so on and so forth. But the fact remains that the information will be available to all. And when the projects are finalized and the work starts, then many of these people can join in this project for finding solutions. So that's the greatest benefit this particular interaction is going to give. And
Okay.
I'm sure that large number of people, academicians, in fact, I got a number of requests from the industry partners that they would like to become part of this journey, so that not only the research is done, it is converted into development and also taken to market.
Okay.
In fact, there is a tremendous pull from that side.
Okay. Indeed, there is a tremendous, encouragement and interest out there amongst the community. Professor Rao, your concluding comments before we bring this to an end?
If you look at India's problem today, our problem is not with respect to knowledge generation. You give us more funds, we will write more papers. I think that is now very well established in the country. In fact, India ranks third according to the National Science Foundation data last year. India ranks third, only behind China and US in terms of papers, the publications. So that part is no longer a worry. Our biggest worry is how do you convert that knowledge back to wealth? I think there we have a lot to learn from countries outside. And that is where, for example, you take the case of UK or Japan or US, some of these countries have been very, very successful in converting the knowledge that they generate in academia into solutions to the real problem. I think that is the missing part in the country. I think there is also a learning that we can have, in that respect too. It's not about people coming together and writing more papers, which is good. I think that we must anyway do, but also converting that knowledge to solve the real problems of the country is also something I would like to see as a major outcome of this initiative. I'm sure that will also happen. And even, if you look at the international rankings, all the, criticism that we hear, why not a single Indian institution is in the top 100 and all that, it is again linked to our internationalization as an issue today. We are on parameters where internationalization comes in, we score zeros right now. And out of 3 out of 6 parameters, we actually score 0, 0, 0. That is why our institutions are ranked where they are right now. I think through these collaborations, we can change perceptions. We can welcome more students from these countries. I think, it's overall, the big picture is very good. I would like to see, some of these initiatives become large and become scalable and, beginning to impact. I'm sure they will eventually impact the way we function.
Okay, there it is. Thank you so much, Professor Rao, Dr. V.K. Saraswat, as well as Dr. Aravind for sharing your time and views with our viewers. So there it is, all about the VAIBHAV Summit, wherein for the entire month of October, the experts, researchers and academicians from overseas will engage with their Indian counterparts over webinars, virtual conferences, debates and discussions on several aspects. Several ideas are likely to be threshed out, and as our panelists pointed out, this will further give room to a structured mechanism being put in place out there to ensure that those ideas which come up at this particular summit are finally realized or given a tangible shape. We'll come back again tomorrow with a different topic. Till then, keep watching Rajya Sabha Television.